Good evening, everyone, and welcome to An Evening with the President. I would like to thank you all for being here tonight. My name is Brina Bentley, but I'm commonly known on campus as BB. I am a senior health and exercise science major from Richmond, Virginia, and a three-sport athlete here at Pfeiffer. As the SGA president, I am honored to extend greetings to you all tonight. We thank you for being here tonight. At this time, I would like to introduce our president, Dr. Scott Bullard. Dr. Bullard came to Pfeiffer as the 11th president of the university after serving in various roles at Judson College in Marion, Alabama. He quickly became a favorite lunch companion for many of our students. Since his first days on campus, he has intentionally taken the time whenever his schedule allows to join students for meals in the dining hall or on the patio since COVID restrictions went into place. And we have enjoyed getting to know him during those regular mealtime visits. At this time, I will turn the program over to Dr. Bullard.
Thank you, BB. BB ably serves our university as Student Government Association president. She hails from Richmond, Virginia, and one of the best parts about this year was watching BB score 22 points on senior day for our women's basketball team. She is beloved by her fellow students, and she poured her heart out during that game, and it was a testament to her resilience. And I know that that resilience is going to translate into wonderful things as she pursues her passions in education related to health and exercise science. Good evening. We are so thankful that you have come here and joined us tonight virtually, and we're so thankful that you've gotten to hear from one of our students. In the moments ahead, you'll have the opportunity to hear from more of them. The first person that you will hear from is a friend of mine, and I mean that in the most sincere ways, named Kirsten. Kirsten is an elementary ed major, and she is doubling, though she's really focused on education, she's doubling with another degree in counseling and human services. She comes to us from Ramseur, North Carolina, that spot near Randolph County and Chatham County, not too far from Asheboro. She is our homecoming queen, and she serves us ably as an ambassador. I hope tonight that you will get to see some images she recently shared with our Board of Trustees as she took them through a portion of her educational experience here at Pfeiffer and taught to them for a while, 2 Fridays ago, about what it's like to be an education major at Pfeiffer. She'll share her heart, she'll share her passion for children, and she'll share her passion for education. You will also get to meet in the coming moments a new student in our Master's of Physician Assistant Studies program, Dalton Helms. Dalton is a native South Carolinian, and we've forgiven him for that. And he comes to us after experiences playing college football as a quarterback, but most importantly, as a biology major, finishing in biology at the University of South Carolina and applying here. And you'll hear from Dalton his story of coming to Pfeiffer, his first encounters with some of his professors here, and his experience as a student in the new Center for Health Sciences in downtown Albemarle. Will you students come and share with the group a little bit about what it's like to be a student here at Pfeiffer?
Thank you, Dr. Bullard, for the introduction and kind words. Good evening, Pfeiffer family. Like he said, my name is Dalton Helms. I'm in my second year in Pfeiffer's PA program in downtown Albemarle. When Dr. Bullard asked me to say a few words about my experience here, I had many things come to mind. When I heard about Pfeiffer launching a PA program, did a little research about the university itself. What I found was a school that was aligned with my principles and seemed to be an environment conducive for success. The values of servant leadership this university portrays was just one reason I knew this was the place for me. In regard to the PA program itself, something that stood out to me was the mission statement and vision this program embodied. We have a focus on rural communities that may not have the best access to care, or individuals themselves who have limitations related to receiving adequate care. Coming from a small town in South Carolina, this mission was something that interests me and that I wanted to be a part of. Helping others is the ultimate reason those of us in the healthcare field go to work every day. What better way to apply that logic than to those who need it the most? I continued to look into the university and PA school itself and ultimately came to the conclusion that this was the home for me. Before I was even accepted into the program, I attended an information session in Meisenheimer that was held by the PA faculty in the Stokes building. Within a couple minutes of being there, our program director, Dr. Diaz, came up to me and said, "I'm so glad you're here. I have viewed your application and look forward to knowing you better. It was more than just a nice to meet you." This statement showed me that this was going to be a program who truly cared about its students and their success. I couldn't have been more right. With that being said, as part of the inaugural cohort, I will not sit here and say there haven't been bumps along the way, but it does not take away from the fact that this program has given us all the tools to be successful and allowed us to grow into future clinicians each and every day. Speaking of tools that allow us to be successful, I want to highlight some of the aspects of our new health sciences building in downtown Albemarle. On the first floor alone, we have 6 fully functional exam rooms that are identical to the ones each of you go into to see your primary care physician. We have various types of robotic simulator mannequins that we're able to perform procedures on. So far, we have employed these simulators to deliver babies, listen to heart murmurs, intubate patients, insert catheters, perform auscultation exams, and many more things. These simulators have vital signs. They blink, they scream, they bleed. Whatever you think of, they can probably do it. Our professors are able to put these simulators into a disease state, pneumonia, asthma, heart attack, etc. And we're expected to be able to perform a physical exam in order to diagnose this disorder. When you're in there, it truly feels like you're performing procedures on actual patients. Without this aspect to our program, there would be multiple procedures we'd be performing for the first time on real patients. I think if you were our patient, it would give you some peace of mind knowing I have practiced a certain procedure multiple times before I would ever perform it in practice. From conversations with other members of our class, this has greatly reduced anxiety and stress about going into our rotations and the things we're expected to know and do. The other aspect of our health sciences building that I must speak about is our state-of-the-art anatomy lab. We have 24 separate bays that harbor our cadavers, all with overhead adjustable lights and monitors to follow along with our instructor. Within the lab, we also have 2 virtual anatomy labs that allow us to look at the human body through X-ray, CT, MRI, and multiple other imaging techniques. This allows us to take what we see with human eye and put it into perspective with what we may see on an image in practice one day. Aside from the physical tools that we have access to, the professors and advisors have truly set us up to be the best clinicians we can possibly be. Our lectures are informative and intriguing. We do lots of group-based work to learn how to work in a team in a healthcare setting. We have protocols and requirements in place to make sure we understand the material before moving on to another subject, and many more things. I could go on and on with examples of why Pfeiffer has assembled a great PA program. The last thing I will say is, from the time I showed up to that information session to the classes I attended this morning, I've constantly felt like part of the family. And to think, and I think, that is what Pfeiffer is all about. I couldn't be more happy that I get to call this place home. Thank you for listening to what I have to say about this great university and PA program. I hope you all have a great night. I'm going to pass it off to Kirsten now.
Thank you, Dalton. And Dr. Bullard for that introduction. As Dr. Bullard said, I am Kirsten Staley. I'm from Ramsor, North Carolina. I am a senior here at Pfeiffer studying Human Services and Counseling and Elementary Education. As a senior, I've spent the last 4 years of my time here at Pfeiffer devoted to my education and this university. That being said, I'm also a student that holds several different roles here on campus. I'm a resident director in Row Hall, an orientation leader, and a student ambassador. As an education major, I've had the chance to explore my love for teaching while practicing in a hands-on learning environment where I was able to go in and work with students in real classrooms, face-to-face, where we had the opportunity to teach and learn from the students and learn from other teachers working alongside us. As a counseling and human services major, I had the opportunity to complete an internship at a local school where it gave me the opportunity to support students in their studies and explore the role of school counseling, My education has not been limited just to the classroom. I've had the opportunity to spend an entire summer learning and teaching a group of amazing fifth graders from my hometown. We spent the summer exploring the values of community service and leadership. These experiences, among others, make me feel like I'm prepared for whatever comes after graduation. While I'm here, I've been given the opportunity to explore not only things inside my major, but outside of my major as well. And I'll be honest, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen with me after graduation, but it's not because I don't have the opportunities. It's because I've been given so many opportunities that it's time for me to choose what's going to happen once I leave this place. Pfeiffer has never disappointed. I came to Pfeiffer wanting to be an education major because I thought teaching might be fun. However, I learned that I have a passion for teaching, not only a passion for teaching, but also a passion for learning. As I reflect on my time at Pfeiffer over the past 4 years, I'm particularly thankful for those who have encouraged me to find my love for teaching, for the friends and relationships that I've built while here, and not only that, but for the opportunity I've had to open my mind and heart to what it means to be a servant leader. I'm beyond grateful for my mentors and professors that have encouraged me to find my place here while giving me the tools I need to succeed outside of this place. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak with you today, and I'd like to pass it back to Dr. Bullard.
Thank you so much, Kirsten. I'm under strict instructions from the Advancement Division because we're all talking to you and not breaking this up with videos or singing the alma mater like we would at homecoming today, to keep this brief. I so wish I could introduce you to more students like BB and Kirsten and Dalton. They truly have my heart, and they join hundreds of Pfeiffer students and thousands of Pfeiffer graduates in their expression of a deep longing to help people, and to help people because they believe to a person that all people are made in the very image of God. So whether it is helping a child learn to read, as Kirsten might do from time to time, or drawing blood from a nervous patient in Dalton's case, our students want to help. Our students want to, as my favorite educational psychologist puts it, explore where their great giftedness intersects with the world's great needs. It's been a big weekend here in the village. Yesterday, our men's basketball team won a USA South basketball title. At halftime, I was asked to give an interview about the season, about the team, about the difficult year that lots of universities have experienced. And I had the opportunity to thank fans during the interview who have been tuning in like you are tuning in tonight via YouTube. One of the guards on the team, an exercise science major who is a graduate of West Stanley High School, Talon Rowe, was our leading scorer at that point in the game. He had 19 points in the first half. I was asked about Talon by the interviewer and was able to describe him and his personality, mostly because the first time I met Talon and the first time I met Kirsten on the same afternoon was because Talon had volunteered that day to help me with moving boxes as I moved into the president's home on campus. In fact, Kirsten has some other funny stories about that afternoon if you ever get a chance to ask her. Talon's parents attend games, and this year he calls them on his FaceTime device on his cell phone after games because they cannot attend. We have a very supportive environment here on campus. We have a very supportive group of students and parents seeking to support student athletes. In fact, yesterday, basketball was one of 6 athletic contests that Pfeiffer teams participated in. The men's basketball team won their title game. The men's soccer team won 2. Across the state, Tiffany Bartholomew of Raleigh, a senior here, and Tanisha Ford, another senior, set school records in the discus and in the hammer throw, respectively. These women are much like Kirsten and BB in so many ways. You'd be so impressed with their athletic ability, but also with their academic rigor and their social skills. Tiffany, for example, finished Pfeiffer last year at the undergraduate level, but robbed of her final season of eligibility as a track and field athlete because of COVID-19. This outstanding student that came to us originally from St. David's Episcopal School in Raleigh returned to set records as an athlete, and perhaps more importantly, to complete a master's degree in our education program. The beauty of these capable women and men is that their hearts match their ability levels. Talon, for example, is part of an exercise science major that has a new emphasis on attacking childhood obesity in this part of the world. Did you know that exercise science majors do go on to become things like personal trainers and owners of CrossFit gymnasiums, as one of our majors wants to do, employees of collegiate and professional strength and conditioning programs, but also that exercise science is one of the new leaders in supplying medical schools and other graduate programs in medicine with students. In fact, 7 students out of Pfeiffer's first 30 occupational therapy students, in effect, cohort 1 of our new occupational therapy program in Albemarle, majored in exercise science as undergraduates. I could go on. I could tell you in this moment, like I did at homecoming in 2019, about other students. I could tell you about Leah Hilton, a Student Government Association officer who is off to American University in Washington, D.C. this spring to take a graduate degree in public policy. I could go on and on about my friend Bruce Cannon. I ate lunch with Bruce last Friday, and he began to tell me about Master's in Business Administration programs he had been accepted to at Pfeiffer, at East Carolina, and at Carolina. How about Jill Metters? This double major in religion and music is headed to Wesley Seminary in Washington, D.C. this fall. And her goal is to be a military chaplain. In fact, the United Methodist Church has already endorsed this pathway for her. Morgan Ingram, an English minor who has accepted a spot in Oklahoma State University's Masters of Fine Arts program. She's an aspiring author, especially interested in the genre of creative nonfiction. And she's off to hone her craft at Oklahoma State. She sharpened her skills here while working on our student literary publication, The Phoenix, as so many of you know. Our rapidly growing counseling and human services major that Kirsten has already referenced today, the following 2020 graduates already hired by the places wherein they did their internships. Chad Leonard at the Stanley County Department of Social Services, Haley Linker at the Nazareth Children's Home, Sarah Elliott at Rowan Helping Ministries. Kayla Miller is a psych major who just earned a summer fellowship to work in a neuropsychology laboratory at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington this summer, and at Cape Fear Regional Hospital. Sarah Brown, an ICU nurse in Roanoke, North Carolina, already. In many ways, these students and so many others embody the Pfeiffer spirit. They embody the spirit of our founder, Emily Pruden, whose goal, even as early as the 19th century, was to train students, I'm quoting here, to lead lives of useful service. Our students are embodying Emily's dream today. They strive for excellence. Just as importantly, they care about their fellow human beings and their love for one another as they walk the halls and as we eat together in Stokes in most years, in most normal years. For me, transcends in many ways things that persons in other parts of the world are arguing about right now. Their love for one another seems to me to transcend things like race and gender and faith background. We are not a perfect place, but we are a good place. And as I walk this campus, what keeps me coming back to serve day after day are the warm and smiling faces of gifted students who want to make a difference, who know that they are mentored by a talented and caring faculty and staff. So in many ways, these are heady days for Pfeiffer. A new PA program with students like Dalton and about 50 others just like him in the PA program in downtown Albemarle, and another 30 in occupational therapy. That occupational therapy program is in the same building. Statistically speaking, these students have some of the finest career outlooks in American higher education. The growth in PA studies looks to be about 11% in terms of the job outlook by the year 2030. The average starting salary well above $100,000 per year in our country. On the occupational therapy side, the job growth prospects, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, might even be better. Because of the graying of America, students entering this field enter the fastest growing sector in American healthcare. It's neck and neck every year with nursing, but perhaps we're looking at 18% job growth by the year 2030. What a wise investment by Pfeiffer's Board of Trustees and faculty and staff and alumni to engage in this kind of growth. Growth that will mean better health outcomes for folks in this region, I have no doubt. Undergraduate students here have more options than ever too. Stay at Pfeiffer for 6 years instead of 4. We'll never convince you, will we, Kirsten? Take a grad degree in PA studies or OT studies, or a master's of business administration, a master's in marriage and family therapy, a master's in education, a master's in practical theology, a master's in healthcare administration. Did you know, by the way, that the new North Carolina Secretary of Commerce, Michelle Sanders, earned the MHA at Pfeiffer? Where do such astonishing students as Dalton and Kirsten and BB and a Michelle Sanders come from? Well, if you're tuning in tonight and you attended here in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, or even in the 1990s, I submit to you in this moment that they come from one of the most engaged faculties in American higher education. A higher percentage of whom than average have the terminal degree in their field, and a much higher percentage of whom speak to these students, not only inside of the classroom, but outside of the classroom. I want to share a statistic with you, and it comes to us from the National Survey of Student Engagement, a survey that Pfeiffer participates in, but a survey that over 1,100 higher educational institutions in America participate in, including those 20 miles north of us on Highway 52 and a few miles south of us in Charlotte. Four-year institutions, community colleges, Research One institutions like the University of North Carolina, the University of Virginia, and the University of Texas. Just one question, and we are allowed to compare ourselves to those other institutions, and we do so based on the responses of our students. Students who are seniors are posed these questions, and students who are freshmen have these questions posed to you. I'm just going to read to you a couple of the questions and note that the possible responses are, this never happens to me at Pfeiffer, that's a 1. This seldom happens to me at Pfeiffer, that's a 2. This sometimes happens to me. This happens to me often, that's a 4. Or this happens to me quite often. Thank you for bearing with me as I explain the survey in a completely unfair way that would drive a statistician crazy. But how about this question? I talked about career plans with a faculty member outside of the classroom. At Pfeiffer, 83%, or 5 out of 6 students who took this survey answered that question with often or quite often. My friends, that is 29% more often than other Southern privates who participated in the National Survey of Student Engagement. And it's 37% more than all schools who participated in the National Survey of Student Engagement. How about this statistic? Worked with a faculty member on an activity other than coursework, including a committee, a student group, or a service learning project that benefited the community. 72%, almost 3 out of 4 Pfeiffer students answer that question with often or quite often. And that may not sound very impressive. We wish 100% answered the question with often or quite often, but I'll take this statistic. 44% more Pfeiffer students answer that with often or quite often than other schools that participated in the National Survey of Student Engagement. We are a good place with a worthy mission. And I pray that you help us lean into that mission here. As wonderful as Pfeiffer University continues to be, continues to embody this vision that Pruden laid out for us so many decades ago, I must tell you that we are not exempt from some of the struggles that have clung to other private colleges and universities in the past year. While our enrollment for graduate students is higher than it was a year ago and will continue to be much, much higher than it has been in the past, COVID-19 has taken a toll on our undergraduate enrollment, which is lower by almost 12% than it was today a year ago. We recruited almost not a single student in the month of March last year, and very few students committed to us in April last year after the effects of COVID-19 became truly apparent in our region. Our students' families' incomes have been negatively impacted overall. We know this. So while some in certain economic sectors have seen their 401ks and their 403bs and their IRA balances go up, and we applaud that, we have seen the employment rates of the parents of our students, unemployment rates rise as well. Even before the pandemic, our expert economists holding degrees from places like Wake Forest that work in the basement floor of the administration building in Pfeiffer were telling us what it costs to deliver the outstanding Pfeiffer experience to the average student. While our price tag looks to be at about $40,000 per year in most years, we know that the average Pfeiffer student can only manage to pay about $17,000 per year. And that's all we typically ask them to pay. Put in another way, students' tuition covers basically the salaries of the faculty and staff here at Pfeiffer, which does rate a respectable 17th out of 36 private North Carolina institutions of higher education. But it is the advancement division, it is the alumni, it is the corporations who donate to us and the foundations that donate to us and auxiliary enterprises that make the rest of our operations possible, including strategic planning for growth, including student scholarships that support our future teachers and leaders, including paying for some of the technology that is being used to broadcast this event to you tonight. All of this, the quality of the students, the cost of delivering an education as engaging as the one Pfeiffer delivers, is the reason that when I arrived as president of Pfeiffer, we decided to make a bold move in conversation with trustees and in conversations with Joellen Newsom in our advancement division and others. That is to say, in 2019, Pfeiffer stopped setting goals of around $500,000 each year for the Pfeiffer Fund, what we sometimes call our annual fund. In fact, one of my very first acts as president was to include at the Board of Trustees meeting a $1 million annual goal for the Pfeiffer Fund. I believed that with a university with over 10,000 undergraduate alumni now and over 6,000 graduate alumni now, we could surely reach $1 million and do it with ease, I thought, in my naivete. And last year, we crashed through that $500,000, $600,000 number in about January, late January, early February. And then we didn't ask for a dollar once the effect of COVID-19 became apparent. And so we came up short by about $100,000 of our annual goal. But we did more than we had done in years, and I was so proud of our staff and our alumni and the foundations and corporations who stepped up, from Albemarle to Charlotte, to the Triad, to the Triangle, to Phoenix, Arizona. Wonderful people lent their support. And then COVID-19 hit us and hit many of you like nothing else has hit us in our lifetimes. A year later, not all of us have recovered. Some of us are still hurting, in fact, including the families of our greatest resource, our only real reason for being, our students. So this year, Pfeiffer Day is March 23rd. And I challenge you to mark that date on your calendar and give in some way. Support a fund that supports Kirsten, that supports BB, that supports Dalton, that ensures that Pfeiffer has enough faculty members on board to offer the personal attention required for Pfeiffer to deliver that differentiated experience to these students, the different experience that we promised to them when they were here as high school seniors. Give to a fund that allows us to purchase for Dalton the robotic simulators that make his facility the best of its kind in North Carolina higher education. Simulators that allow him to, as Joellen Newsom often puts it, make high-risk decisions in a no-risk environment. Give to a fund that allows us to offer the Pfeiffer experience for students in a variety of socioeconomic classes. Give to students who are, my friends, the future of North Carolina education, healthcare, business, ministry, coaching, technology, and so much more. Give to what one former president would have called, and what the Apostle Paul might have called, tomorrow's servant leaders. Leaders in our own region, leaders who look for the good of our country and our world. Our goal this Pfeiffer Day is 1,021 donors. That is precisely 10% of our living undergraduate alumni. Please do not underestimate the importance of being counted in that number. An old African proverb suggests that many hands make light work, and gifts of every size work together to allow Pfeiffer to offer new in-demand programming like our PA and OT programs from a state-of-the-art facility that is truly among the finest in our state. Your participation as givers communicates to others, particularly foundations that ask questions about percentage of alumni donors, that you believe in the education Pfeiffer provided to you, and that you continue to believe that Pfeiffer provides the best for students today. In communicating that message, my friends, you deliver more than you can imagine. Next week, you will begin to see a communication about Pfeiffer Day, including a very special video message from Kirsten. The first time I saw the rough draft, so to speak, I must confess that I wept. I hope it has the same effect on you. But as you listen to her words, I hope that you will remember the best of your experiences here in the village. The professors who attended your games, professors who encouraged you to stretch your personal limits, the administrator who helped you navigate graduate school admissions. I hope you will also be assured that our current students experience those same moments, even as we move forward with ambitious new programming. The best of the classic Pfeiffer experience remains. Pfeiffer University is as connected as she ever was to the mission of her founder, Emily Pruden. In a myriad of ways, we are preparing students today for lives of useful service. We do that in a community of which you are a part. We are Falcons, and we thank you for joining us tonight. Good evening.